Thanks for locking in with 77 Flavors of Chicago. We're your host, Dario.
And I'm Sarah, and I hope you're ready to learn with us.
Hey, Happy New Year.
We said that like 3 times now already.
This is literally the first episode of the year.
Oh.
Literally the first
I thought
episode.
we had an episode on Thursday that was different.
Nah, we didn't air one.
Oh.
Yeah, we didn't air one.
Whoops.
Happy
New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. yeah. The reason good, we forgot A. But B,
Yeah, we did.
I don't think it would have been good to like start the year on a rerun.
On a rerun.
Yeah, no. Once I forgot, I was gonna tell you and be like, damn, we ain't do it. I was like,
And
no.
then you were like,
nah.
it's not meant to happen.
Yeah, serendipitous. So this will be 78 weeks long with the one miss
Oh,
there.
well.
It's all good, y'all.
You'll be all right.
But how you doing?
I'm good. I'm super good, actually. You know, just vibing out.
Yeah,
How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good. The year is off to a good start.
It is.
Yeah, this week we finally can let you know what the cat's out of the bag. We moving locations, y'all.
We are.
Yeah, who moves in between Christmas and New Year's?
Just us.
Just us. Yeah, it's ridiculous, but yeah, man, it's been a long time. But
Yeah.
happy,
Mm-hmm.
super happy. Yeah, super happy. I'm excited for this new year. We got a whole new plan.
Too, yeah. Our content is expanding a little bit. It'll be fun.
You know, we ended the year on a good note with the 30 for 30.
I think so.
That was dope. They gave us some insight into doing more of those.
Yeah.
A lot of work, but we can.
We could do it.
Yeah,
I believe in us.
Yeah, once that was literally the first time and for it to go that well. Not mad at that at
For
all.
real.
Yeah. What else new? What's going on?
Nothing much. I feel like I want to get into this episode. It's kind of exciting.
Oh damn! You said cut the bullshit, man. Look, let's get with it.
I don't have much else to say.
Yeah, you want to talk to the people? You want to say nothing? No outlook for the new year? We said that last
Yeah,
episode.
we did a little recap and an outlook.
All right, cool.
We can start.
All right, new year, new us. 2 minutes in. Let's
Cut the crap.
yeah, cut the crap, y'all.
Today's episode is kind of interesting because we're doing a very general topic. So it was kind of a little interesting narrowing it down. And we're going to learn about railroads and the history of railroads in Chicago.
Yeah.
And this is on my never-ending quest to prove that Chicago is the foundation of everything.
Yeah. Hey, look, tell them the real sauce. Hey, look.
This is my journey in life to prove to you that without Chicago, none of this shit would exist.
Man, look. You need another 3.5 years of us proving this shit.
I'm just saying.
But here we go. Yeah, we're gonna keep on going. Y'all ain't hearing.
Over and over and over.
Not
So
listening.
everybody hears it. I will need 350 million listeners on this podcast.
Yeah, America, get your kids ready. Get your
know?
kids. Get your kids an
your
iPod. You know they
grandkids.
got them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Download the shit.
Exactly. So let's get into it. This is railroads in Chicago. We're going to start pretty early on. I kind of wanted to start with the notion because as I was doing the research, it was a lot of like Chicago was built because of the railroads, right? Like the railroads came about at a time that resulted in a huge boom in the population in Chicago and a huge boom in industry. And I agree that the railroads did build Chicago.
Very fair.
But I will also like to argue in today's paper that Chicago built the railroads.
See, that's what I want to hear.
Let's
start some
what
drama.
I'm saying.
Day one.
It's not even drama.
I know it's not. It's just what
the
I
truth.
want.
This is not just my opinion. Well, that is my opinion, but I will back it up with facts.
Let's go.
Okay.
Fact-based
ready?
podcast. Hell yeah.
Chicago is actually considered one of the most important railroad centers in North America. More lines of track radiate in more directions from Chicago than any other city in North America,
Yeah.
not just
Yeah.
the United States.
Yeah.
It is second in terms of commuter volume, rail passengers carried each day. Second to New York, unfortunately, but that's all right.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, whatever.
They got more people.
You know what? And it's something like 10 million people in the metropolis area. I think New York got like
They
8
got
million by himself.
too many.
But yeah, right.
Too many.
Yeah.
I can't imagine living there.
Yeah. I mean, shit.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But Chicago at the time, now think of it, we're talking mid 1800s. So we're about 1840 here. Okay. And Chicago is fairly new as a city. We're just a couple years into being a city, and it is considered the West, right? This is the West of the country. We haven't gone too far west to expand just yet. And so it is a hub. So everything that's passing from the east to the south, and even a little bit further west. Obviously, there is stuff west of Chicago, but I'm just saying, like, it is considered now in the west of the country. Stuff moving from east to south and west has to go through Chicago. Not only do we have the Great Lakes that created huge waterways that things traveled through, but they started laying tracks for railroads coming in and around Chicago.
Yeah, the transcontinental stuff.
Right. The first railroad to be laid in Chicago was the Galena and Chicago Union, and it was meant to go from the Galena
area up there.
Like the mines. There was some mines over there. It was chartered in 1836, and the lead mines at Galena. And the first track was laid in 1848 in what was at the time Oak Ridge, which is now Oak Park. The terminal was in downtown, at the corner of Canal and Kinsey, which you can go and see. There's nothing there.
Right. Yeah. No.
That building doesn't exist.
And y'all could go here. Sarah, I'm sure you gonna not go deep into that particular situation. But if you did want to know more about it, we actually had a whole episode on that. So just go back, not even too far back. I would say about a couple months back. We talked about the Galena station, the first rail train in Chicago.
Right.
So, but I know that's not the point of this story. So you probably gonna be like, tell us more. Go back, listen.
Yeah, and we might go back and do a little bit more in depth on some of these companies, because you'll hear Pullman, which we've done Pullman and stuff like that. So you'll hear Illinois Central, which we've done stuff on Illinois Central. But there's other players that kind of did big things in Chicago. I'm going to touch on a lot of them, not all of them, obviously. There's
oops.
Wow,
my finger. I wanted that. Wow.
Wow.
My bad. Well, I'm gonna give you as the buzzer for no. You ain't doing that. No.
Once those railroads started being laid down, other railroads soon started to link Chicago to the wheat fields in northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin. Right, so we started moving north, and later they connected the city to Detroit, Cleveland, Cincinnati, New Orleans, St. Paul, Kansas City, and Omaha. Those were the what we radiated towards the tracks. And obviously this made Chicago the primary in grain marketing and meat packing. So we're connected to these wheat farms and we have access to them. So it's very easy to be like, come to Chicago.
Yeah.
Like, make your company headquarters out of Chicago. Obviously we have a ton of farmland.
Distribute.
Exactly. It's so much easier to distribute from Chicago to all of these other cities that it's going to.
And those places that you named too are like waterways, right? So like,
Right.
they're exit points to water.
Exactly.
So like, if you wanted to then
Ports.
get ports, get stuff to other countries. You just got to wait for it to come from Chicago. And then you can ship it out from there.
Speaking of the Chicago being on the west, many of the railroads that were built west of Chicago, so like companies that own railroads west of Chicago, had their headquarters in Chicago. So you might be a company that was based out of, I don't know, what other major city at the time.
What's west of Chicago? Kansas? No.
Ugh.
Iowa?
No, let's not do this.
No.
So Chicago became kind of the center for all these manufacturers, and not only manufacturers of rail cars, but also rail tracks, rail track pieces, all of the accessories that go into rail tracks. And here now we're talking about import. So like rail tracks that carried goods, but also rail tracks that carried people. So you had these are two different kinds of cars.
Right.
Obviously,
everything
right?
coming through here.
Exactly. And some of the major people, of course, was Pullman, and you then had a company that was like a diesel company, and we'll get into that in a second. At this point, we're still in the late 1840s, early 1850s. And in the 1850s, Chicago was home to all of these manufacturers, railroad, track, rail car, and it became one of Chicago's largest employers. So in the entire 20th century. And so some of the examples of manufacturers were Pullman, American Car Company, Burlington and Quincy, Eagle Works, Union Car Works. And in 1855, for example, Illinois Central started a few shops across or along the lakeshore on the south side. And that obviously created a boom. Illinois Central was huge. And if you watched our 30 and 30, there's a lot of ones on the east side of the city where we talk about this community area started, or this neighborhood started because of railroads. And that's kind of what sparked this episode for me. That's why I wanted to talk about this, was because there was so much conversation about the city starting because of X rail track, X railroad company, or whatever manufacturer started here. Don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, it's the argument is almost easy because we know the research. You know what I'm saying? But because yeah, y'all, of course, industry came here to Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Like, it came here, and that's how, of course, once you get people in the area, boom, there you go. We got water, we got wheat and grain and farmland. You know,
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying? Like, so we had all the natural make.
Don't even get us started on the meat packing, which came in a little bit later.
And that was combined. The stockyard, the Union stockyards.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so all that was together. Plus, you had a lot of people coming to Chicago to help do this. We talked about what was the guy that during the episode of the Galena. He's the reason he came from New York, and he was like, "Yo, I think we can move paper.
We should do it here.
We can get the newspaper dude. Him. He was like, hey, I think this is cool if we kind of like vouch for getting trains." He vouched to get the train going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and he had the backing of to get the Galena one off the ground.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's a perfect example of we kind of built the the train system.
And I'm gonna keep proving it to you. But in the late 1850s, the iron and steel mill industry kind of boomed. By the 1880s, Chicagoland area, steel mills were rolling a third of all the rails that were made in the U.S.
Damn.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. So now we clean into the now we building the rails, because we're not just building rails here now. Now
we're building
everywhere.
rails that are being laid in other parts of the country.
Yeah.
By the late 1800s, the railroad equipment and supply business was one of the leading industries. It hired about 3,600 men, which is a lot if you think of that time in the 1800s. By 1900, two of the area's top 20 employers were independent rail car manufacturers. You had American Car and Foundry and Pullman. American Car and Foundry employed 1,500 men. Pullman employed 6,000.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Pullman was really going everywhere. But see, now, okay. Here's a question, kind of controversial, but kind of on point. Who was we considering men? Because there's a lot of black people that worked on the. And granted, they were free at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were free.
I guess if they were on payroll, is what they're being.
I guess what they. Yeah. Okay, just making sure.
That's what I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good assumption. It's a positive assumption.
If they're paying them, they're counting them as employees. That's the thing. You know what I mean? Like, if they're, but
they were calling them Georgies back then.
Jesus.
Yeah, ain't that crazy?
Yeah.
Man.
Pullman was the most important single company in the history of railway supply in the U.S., without a doubt. And American Car and Foundry was actually really interesting. It was created by the merger of 13 companies in 1899. So now you have these like really big monopoly-ish coming along in each one of those steel work or railroad industries. You had a company called Western Steel Car and Foundry, which was based in Hegewisch. And they were making 100 cars a day in 1905 and made $7.5 million in sales.
What? I wonder where in Hegewisch they were.
Good question.
Yeah, that's one to look for.
Yeah. Chicago was also supplier of goods other than finished rail cars and rail tracks. So I'm going to give you a couple examples of companies that were leading in the industry.
Okay.
You had Sierra Adams, who was the leading supplier of lamps and lanterns that went inside of rail cars. Very interesting.
These are things that you don't even think about when you think about a rail car. You just think, it's made. You know what I mean? But
someone has to provide the little knobs on the doors and the little lamps and the fabric. You had Pettibor Mulliken, who was the leading supplier of track equipment like frogs and crossings and little latches that changed the track directions and all of that stuff. That was based out of Chicago.
Damn.
You had Griffin Wheel. Griffin Wheel Company, which was the leading manufacturer and supplier of wheels. In 1900, they made 500 wheels a day. And in 1920, they made 1,000 wheels a day.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Then you had Edward B. Leighs, Leighs. Over 20 years of being the leading supplier of brake beams, they sold over 6 million of them.
Wow. Wait, when?
Just over a 20-year period.
Wow.
Yeah. Probably in that late 1800s, early 1900s.
Yep.
Now we're in the kind of like late 1870s, early 1880s. You had the refrigerator car, right? Which was really revolutionary for the meat packing industry because now you can move meat across the country without it spoiling.
Now here's another, like, a direct, if it wasn't for Chicago, you wouldn't have it, because, like, who was the meat capital of the world? Chicago. And so you knew those people was like, yo, we need to figure out something to keep this product fresh. Yeah. So let's build that.
At this point, you only either moved cattle or you moved meat that was preserved in salt or dehydrated. Or, you're not moving fresh slaughtered meat.
Yep.
But once you had the refrigerated car, you can now move fresh meat, and it can make it all the way wherever it needs to go without being spoiled.
So now we need more cars now.
Now we need
more cars.
So what some of these meat packing companies did was they bought their own cars. So they weren't relying on renting, which we'll talk about renting cars in a second. But you had Swift and Company. They owned 6,000 cars. Armour and Company owned 14,000 cars.
Ooh.
So think of how much meat you're pushing.
And Armour and Company was a yeah. Slow down.
14,000 cars is a crazy amount of meat.
That's a lot of meat you pushing.
Yeah, a lot of meat.
Still same bullshit 4 years later. Here we go.
Listen.
I'm with it. That's crazy though.
Yeah.
So Armour and Company, we need to do a whole episode on that.
I know we do.
We keep on saying it because I feel like we gonna find you probably know, if you're a historian, if you kind of know like the logistics of what's going on in that industry. Armour and Company is huge, right? But we have heard little bits and pieces over the last 3 years that every time we talk about that stockyards, we talk about Armour.
Yep.
And so we still haven't done it. And I'm sure we can find something that's crazy.
Oh, I can't wait.
I can't wait either.
I think we definitely need to. Unfortunately,
we be digging wormholes and going with them.
Yeah.
Man, because the shit is, honestly, y'all, I'm sorry, sidebar here. Here's the thing. The information we tell y'all, we sometimes have to cut it off because there's so much.
Here's the thing. This I'm giving you snippets.
Yeah.
Because I did like hours and hours and hours of research, and I read so much information about this. I could go on a rabbit hole about each one of these companies.
Yeah.
Each one of these micro industries within the railroad industry.
We in the crazy, but we have to cut it off. It's like
I had
to.
So I was like picking the coolest stuff, and like unfortunately, there's other cool shit that I want to talk about. It's just,
you know what's crazy? I always think about that every time we are like, maybe somebody might bring up and be like, man, how much? Nobody does it now. Like, how much long can you go? I feel like people know. Oh, they could go on forever and ever about Chicago, but like. We really, like, every time we find stuff like this, I'm like, there's no end in sight in what we could talk about.
Yeah.
There's really no end.
Which is so exciting.
Yeah, it is. Right.
Like, yeah.
I was about to say 4 more years, but that hit different. Hey, don't, oh boy, get inaugurated this week? No, think about
that.
I know. I just thought about it.
I know. This is a safe space.
Probably the day of this episode airing. Is this the 6th?
This is a safe space. Let's not talk about that. No, the 6th is a different date.
Oh, hey, no. First coin of the year.
No,
first coin.
That needs a.
Let me.
There you go.
But that was good though.
Anyway, another set of cars where the tank cars now started. Tank cars moved things like oil and other liquids, right? So they're sealed. They're fully sealed cars. There's no leaking. The leading company that made those was General American Car Company, and it was in East Chicago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Look,
so,
I'm telling you.
I know. Here's the thing, y'all. Y'all was giving still going back and forth over East Side. We get it. It's called Over East. We get it. Hood people, we get it. I'm from there. You know what I'm saying? But it's called East Side, y'all. It's called East Side, and that's where they started from.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
now we're in the early 20th century. So now by the 20th century, the companies that leased these freight cars to the railroads were this was now one of the most important industries within railroads, right? Is the companies that leased, and by that I mean they made the most money, right? And from Chicago, the leading company was called Union Tank Car Company. They came from Union Tank Line, which was created by Rockefeller. And it was specifically Rockefeller Standard Oil Company out of Ohio that moved to Chicago in the 1920s. And then they eventually became Union Tank Car Company instead of Rockefeller Standard Oil Company. The shift is...
Rockefeller is rich.
I don't know which Rockefeller did this.
It don't even matter.
One of them. Did you know that Anderson Cooper is a Vanderbilt? Never mind.
Damn, that's still information.
I know.
I didn't know that. Damn.
They lost all their money. Man. He got a little bit of money. Anyway,
Anderson Cooper doing all right. He good.
Yeah. They moved to Chicago in 1920s, and they had 10,000 cars in 1904. When they moved to Chicago in 1920, they had 30,000 cars.
God, dog, they tripled 3 times the amount.
Yep.
In 20 years.
General American Transportation Company, which started in 1898, they had 28 used cars in 1898. By the 1930s, they became the nation's largest private freight car fleet, and they owned 55,000 cars.
So I'm not trying to hear that. Y'all, Chicago built. We built the railroads. I'm not trying to hear that.
Yeah.
Like this is so. When you first said it, I was like, "No, I get it." You know what I mean? But I know off the top, some of y'all probably like, that's a stretch to be like.
It really isn't.
No, it's not. It's really not.
Isn't. Like truly, it's not.
It's like
any part of the railroad industry that Chicago could have played a part. They played the most important part.
And we not even
put that in quotes.
We didn't even
put it on a t-shirt.
We didn't even talk about how like the how Chicago started the we talked about it before, the time zones. Come on now.
Yeah.
You didn't even talk about the railway exchange.
I haven't yet.
Okay. Oh, we not done.
Well, that was gonna be my last piece.
Oh, my bad.
To kind of like tie a little bow.
Salt on these holes. I mean, oops, what? I'm sorry. Sorry, y'all.
That's how actually Daria talks. Like to someone's kid is like,
I know, Mom. What's a hole?
Sorry.
Sorry, shorty.
To put a bow on it, as they say, our fellow Caucasians like to say.
Get out of here.
To put a bow on it or in it, on top of
it.
Chicago, what was really cool while we were doing this is I wanted to film in the area near the Art Institute. There's a nice overlooking tracks where the Amtrak and the Metra come through, or the Metra. And obviously there's a building there that has Motorola on top of it. Many people know it as the Santa Fe building.
Yes, sir.
Very, very famous Chicago skyline building. It's really, really beautiful. And so on the door of it, many months ago, we saw a sign that said Railway Exchange. Yeah. So we did beep, boop, beep, beep, a little Google, what's Railway Exchange? And come to find out, it was actually a building where a lot of railway companies kind of based their offices out of because they needed a place to work, and they often work together, right? Not to overlap each other and stuff like that. And so they needed a place to come together, and that was the building. Railway Exchange was their offices. And was one really cool fact about it that kind of helped in my mind finalize the idea that Chicago was really integrated with railways, even though this probably was just I don't know if it was random, but it feels like it was random. But Daniel Burnham actually wrote the plan of Chicago in 1909 on the penthouse floor of the Railway Exchange building.
Y'all, come on now. Second coin. What's going on?
Which was just like such a cool little tie-in to the whole story.
Because like that was, we went from Railways Build Chicago to Chicago building of the railways to Chicago literally being so rebuilt and planned. Yeah.
And like Chicago is still big on railways. I think people that don't maybe obviously like railway yards are in different parts of the city, that they're not in downtown or anything like that, but they're everywhere. And even like when we did the 30 and 30, we did clearing. Clearing is an area where railway cars are come to get serviced and interchanged and stuff like that. And those yards are all over the city. Yeah. If you go
Inglewood,
east, west, or south, it's everywhere.
Everywhere.
And so you might not see it on your day-to-day, but railways are still a huge part of Chicago industry.
And it's never gonna stop. Didn't we just get the train take 48 hours to get to Miami now?
Yeah.
It's just a start, which is crazy because like as advanced as things are here, we still behind when it comes to train transit, for people.
Yeah. But even as like for me, as someone that has worked in logistics before, and I've worked with like containers moving across the country and containers coming from Asia and Europe and stuff like that. A lot of the containers that come from Asia through LA and have to go to other parts of the country go through Chicago because they get put on a railway and then they make their way to Chicago, and then from there they move around the country. For it to get to Canada, they come to Chicago, and then they get on a boat on the Lake Michigan or Lake Superior, whatever, and they go through the waterways up to Canada. So Chicago is still a huge logistics hub. You might not see it in your day to day.
Never gonna change.
But it's really just like such an important industry for us that is kind of slept on a little bit.
We still here.
So know our history,
Yeah. Know your know our history.
Yeah.
Know our history.
Yeah.
Talk. Coin.
Okay.
Like coin. We got coin heavy this year.
I wanted to come in with a hot one.
Yeah. I got to get back on the coins too. I got to get past that. I feel like last year I feel like I passed out like a total of 20 coins.
No, you did way more.
No, I feel
you started off loose with the coins.
Did I?
Yeah.
So January, February, I was rocking them coins. As the year went on, I was like,
And you were giving yourself coins?
Yeah, I'm still gonna give myself coins. Shit, ain't no love like self-love.
That's a fact. That's a fact. You gotta love yourself.
Gotta love yourself. All right, y'all. This is how we kicking off the year, man.
Yeah, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed that one. It was a really fun one for me to research and learn about. You can always check out our YouTube. There's a full video accompanying this. It's the same information, but you get to see where we went and what it looks like.
Yep.
And if you enjoyed this episode, we would love for you to share it with someone you love. It's the best way to support us and support our work because this shit is free, and you out here listening to it. It's free.
They say you put it on a free platform. They say don't.
Still.
They say watch that smoke. You
Anyway.
pay $10 a month for Spotify, so stop playing. So it ain't free.
Exactly.
Anyway,
if you did not enjoy this episode, that's all right. Check back Thursday for a rerun or Monday for a brand new episode, and we'll see you then. Peace. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode, and we hope you loved it.
and if you could please follow us on social media at 77 Flavors Shy on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter.
If you have any ideas or deep dives that you'd love us to do, please contact us at media@77flavorsshy. That's the number 77 flavors and shy for Chicago.com.
If you like visuals, please subscribe and follow and watch us on our YouTube channel at the same thing, 77 Flavors Shy, or search 77 Flavors of Chicago.
If you would like to support us monetarily, go ahead and click that Buzzsprout link in the description of this episode.
And as always, we gonna see you next week. Peace.